I heard Linda's voice crack through my phone speaker, and my stomach dropped. "You're destroying the house," she said, her words sharp as glass. "The walls are coming down, the kitchen cabinets are gone, and you're ripping up the original hardwood floors that my son inherited from his grandfather. This is vandalism." My hands went cold. I hadn't even told her about the renovation yet. I was standing in the middle of what used to be our kitchen, surrounded by dust and demolition debris, when I realized, somehow she already knew, and she was furious. Let me back up 3 months. Everything was perfect, or at least it felt that way. My name is Ashley, and I'm 32 years old. My husband is Michael, and we'd been married for 6 years. We bought our house in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, a 1987 colonial-style home with original everything, 3 years ago for $285,000. It was a fixer-upper, but it had bones. Good bones, our realtor said. Michael was thrilled. His mother, Linda, had actually grown up in a house on the same street back in the 80s. She loved that Michael was staying close to home, close to her. The thing is, I loved Michael. Still do. He's the kind of guy who remembers to ask about your day, who doesn't scroll through his phone during dinner, who laughs at terrible jokes because he knows it makes you happy. He works in IT management, solid job, decent salary, 401k matching. We weren't rich, but we were stable. We had 2 cars that ran fine, a mortgage payment we could handle, and plans. Real plans. We were talking about kids, about travel, about a future that felt solid. Our marriage had rhythm. Saturday morning coffee together before the world woke up. Sunday dinners with Michael's family, his mom Linda, his younger sister Jennifer, and their dad Robert. Friday nights were ours. No phone calls, no work emails, just us. I remember one Friday in late September. We were lying in bed, and Michael traced my jawline with his finger, like he was memorizing me. "I'm lucky," he said. "You know that, right?" I did know. I felt it too. The house needed work. The kitchen dated back to 1994 and had those honey oak cabinets that screamed early 2000s. The bathroom tiles were pink and ugly. The flooring throughout the main level was this weird laminate that buckled in humid weather. But it was ours, and we had time. We'd planned to do a slow renovation, save money, do 1 room a year, that kind of thing. Then in October, I got the promotion. Senior project manager at the marketing firm. A 20% raise. Suddenly, our budget opened up. Michael and I sat at the dining room table with a spreadsheet, and we did the math. We could do the kitchen this year. Kitchen, bathrooms, maybe refinish the hardwood upstairs. We could actually make the house beautiful. I was so excited I called my best friend Sarah at work. "We're doing it," I told her. "We're finally renovating." She sent me Pinterest boards and contractor recommendations. I spent 2 weeks researching, interviewing contractors, pulling together mood boards with subway tiles and open shelving, and this gorgeous white quartz countertop I'd seen at a showroom. Michael approved everything. "Make it amazing," he'd said. "You've got great taste. I trust you." We hired Davidson and Sons Construction in early November. The owner, a guy named Tom Davidson, seemed professional and competent. He gave us a quote for $42,000. Kitchen remodel, bathroom updates, some structural work in the basement, where there was a small water damage issue. It seemed reasonable. We signed the contract. Demolition was supposed to start the Monday after Thanksgiving. The night before the demo, I couldn't sleep. I kept getting up and walking through the kitchen, running my hand along the cabinets I was about to destroy, knowing that somewhere on the other side of this chaos would be something better. Michael woke up around 3 a.m. and found me standing in the dark kitchen. "You okay?" he asked, pulling me close. "Just nervous," I said. "What if we hate it? What if we make a mistake?" "We won't," he said. "And even if we do, we'll fix it together." Monday morning came. The demolition crew arrived at 7 a.m. with a dumpster and tools. By noon, the cabinet doors were off their hinges. By evening, the countertops were gone. It was loud and dusty and thrilling and terrifying all at once. That's when my phone rang. "Linda, I didn't recognize her voice at first because she was so angry. "What are you doing to that house?" she demanded. "Jennifer drove by to pick up her dry cleaning near your place, and she saw the dumpster. She saw the kitchen being torn apart. Did you ask Michael about this? Does he even know what you're doing?" "Of course he knows," I said, confused. "We planned this together. He approved." "He would never approve of ripping out the original elements," she cut me off. "That house has character, history, and you're destroying it for some trendy, Instagram, whatever kitchen that will be ugly in 5 years." I felt my face flush. "Linda, with all respect, it's our house. Michael and I made this decision together." "We'll see what Michael says about that," she said coldly, and she hung up. My stomach twisted. Something about the way she said it, the certainty in her voice, it made me feel like I'd done something wrong, even though I hadn't. I texted Michael at work. "Your mom called. She's upset about the renovation." His response came back 5 minutes later. "That's between you and her. Don't worry about it." I should have known then that something was off. That casual dismissal, that assumption that his mother's anger was somehow my problem to manage. But I didn't know. Not yet. The next 2 weeks were a blur of dust, invoices, and Linda's escalating texts. She messaged Michael constantly. I saw the notifications pop up on his phone when he wasn't quick enough to silence them. "Have you lost your mind? This is destroying family property. Your father is appalled." Each one tightened the knot in my stomach. Michael would read them and say nothing. Just set the phone down and change the subject. That silence was worse than anger. It was like he was choosing her version of reality over ours. The demolition finished on a Friday. The kitchen was completely gutted, studs exposed, electrical rewired, plumbing relocated. It looked like a crime scene, but Tom Davidson assured us we were on schedule. The cabinet installation was supposed to happen the following week. I was excited. Finally, something was taking shape. That Sunday, we went to dinner at Linda and Robert's house, like we did every week. I almost didn't want to go, but Michael insisted. "It'll be fine," he said. "She's just upset. She'll get over it." She didn't get over it. We pulled into their driveway at 6 o'clock sharp. Linda answered the door before we even rang the bell, like she'd been waiting at the window. Her face was pinched, her eyes hard. "Come in," she said coldly, not looking at me. The dining room table was set formally. Cloth napkins, good china, the whole thing. Unusual for a casual family dinner. Jennifer was there with her husband, Dave. Robert sat at the head of the table, and he wouldn't meet my eyes. We made it through the appetizers in tense silence. Michael kept talking about work, about a project his team was launching. No one responded with more than a single word. Then Linda set down her fork deliberately. "Michael," she said, her voice sharp as a blade. "We need to talk about the house." I felt Michael tense beside me. "Mom, not now." "Yes, now," she said. "You're allowing your wife to destroy a piece of family history. Your grandfather bought that house in 1987. Those hardwood floors came from a mill that doesn't exist anymore. The original architectural details." "The house is falling apart," I said quietly. I shouldn't have spoken, but I couldn't help it. The kitchen is 20 years old. The plumbing needs replacement. We're not destroying anything. We're preserving the structure by updating. "Nobody asked you," Linda snapped. "This is between me and my son." "No," Michael said, and there was something in his voice I'd never heard before, something cold. "It's between me and my wife, and we made this decision together." I looked at him, grateful. Finally. "Did you, though?" Linda leaned forward. "Did she tell you about the loan?" The room went silent. I felt my blood drain from my face. "What loan?" Michael asked slowly, turning to me. "There is no loan," I said, but my voice shook. "I don't know what she's talking about." "Jennifer saw the paperwork," Linda said, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "At the bank. You took out a home equity loan without telling your husband. $42,000. My mouth went dry. That's for the renovation. We talked about it. Michael approved." I approved using our savings, Michael said quietly. Not a loan. We had the money. We have 15,000 in savings, I said, my heart pounding. We needed 42. I got the quote from Davidson and Sons. I did the math, and I took out the loan so we could start the project without draining everything. I was going to tell you. I just wanted to finalize the numbers first. You took out a $42,000 loan without my consent, Michael said. It wasn't a question. In both our names, I'm assuming, since it's a home equity loan. I couldn't answer. Because yes, both our names, both responsible. How could you do that? His voice was so quiet it was almost worse than if he'd shouted. We talk about everything. We don't make big financial decisions like that alone. I know, I thought what? That you'd surprise me with debt? That you'd take out a loan against our house, the house we own together, and I'd just find out later? Linda was watching this with the expression of a cat that had just knocked a bird off a table. Satisfied? Predatory? Jennifer looked uncomfortable. Dave was studying his plate. Robert still wouldn't look at me. I made a mistake, I said, and my voice cracked. I should have told you first. But Michael, this is our renovation. This is what we planned for. I just accelerated the timeline because I wanted to. You don't get to make unilateral financial decisions for this family, he said, and then he stood up. I need some air. He left the table. I heard the back door open and close. Linda smiled. It was the most terrifying thing I'd seen all night. I think you should go, she said to me. My son needs time to think about who he married. The drive home was silent. Michael stared out the window the entire way. When we got there, he went upstairs to the bedroom and closed the door. I slept on the couch that night, listening to the house creak around me, feeling like everything I'd built was collapsing faster than the walls we'd demolished. The next morning, Michael left for work without waking me. He texted around noon. Don't schedule anything with the contractor until we talk. But we didn't talk. Not that day or the next. He came home late, went to bed after I was asleep, left before I woke up. We were living in the same house and barely existing in the same universe. Wednesday, Tom Davidson called. The cabinets had arrived. He needed to know when to install them. I told him I'd call him back. I couldn't make any decisions. Everything was Michael's now, apparently. Every choice had to be approved. Every dollar had to be justified. That afternoon, I called my best friend Sarah. I was sitting in the gutted kitchen, surrounded by exposed studs, and I just broke down. I told her everything, the loan, the fight, the way Michael had looked at me like I was a stranger. He's being unfair, Sarah said firmly. You're renovating your own house. You made a financial decision that was reasonable given the situation. Yes, you should have told him first, but Linda poisoned the well. He's listening to his mother instead of his wife. What if he's right, though? I whispered. What if I overstepped? Did you? Sarah asked. Or did you make an adult decision about your own home and get punished for it by a woman who doesn't want to see you happy? I didn't answer, because I didn't know anymore. That night, Michael came home at his normal time. He actually made dinner, pasta with jarred sauce, nothing fancy. We ate at the kitchen table in silence. The gutted kitchen. The renovation he apparently didn't want. I want to sell the house, he said suddenly. I set down my fork. What? We bought it 3 years ago. It's appreciated maybe 30,000. We could sell it now, pay off the loan, split whatever's left, and we'd both be in a better position financially, separately. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did, and they hit like a physical blow. You want a divorce, I said. I don't know what I want, he said. But he wasn't looking at me. I know that I trusted you, and you made a major financial decision without me. I know that my mother was right about something I didn't want to believe. And I know that I can't stop thinking about the fact that you lied to me. I didn't lie. I made a mistake. Same thing, he said. That Friday, Michael called a divorce attorney. I found out because I got a call from my own attorney, who'd been contacted by his. The papers would be ready to sign in 2 weeks. He was requesting an equitable split of assets, which meant I'd walk away with essentially nothing after the mortgage, the loan, and the legal fees. $42,000 of debt. No house. No marriage. And Linda had won without ever lifting a finger. I spent the weekend in a fog. Sarah came over Saturday and found me sitting in the demolished kitchen, staring at nothing. "We're fixing this," she said, and I loved her for trying. But there was nothing to fix. Michael had made his choice. Monday morning, I got a call from Tom Davidson. "Hey, I hate to add to whatever's going on," he said carefully, "but I need to know about the cabinet installation. The crew's scheduled for Wednesday. I also wanted to follow up on something. Michael called me yesterday and said to put the project on hold. But here's the thing. I did a little digging into your loan because something didn't sit right with me." My stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" "The loan you took out," Tom said. "It's for $42,000, which is exactly my quote. But that quote was dated November 15th, and you took out the loan on November 18th. 3 days later. That's a really fast turnaround." "I wanted to start the renovation," I said numbly. "Right. But here's what I'm trying to say. Your husband came to see me yesterday. He wanted to know if you'd talk to me about financing options. And I realized, did you know that I offer payment plans? We could have broken this into 2 phases. 30,000 now, the remaining 12 after the first month's complete. You wouldn't have needed a full loan. You could have asked me." The words were like a key turning in a lock. "He didn't know," Tom continued, "because you didn't tell him about the other options. You went straight to the bank. And that's the real issue, isn't it? Not that you made a decision. That you made a decision without exploring alternatives, without including him." He was right. I'd been so excited, so certain, that I'd just gone ahead. I'd taken out a loan instead of asking the contractor about flexibility. I'd signed both our names without discussing it. I'd made a unilateral financial decision that affected both of us. But then Tom said something that changed everything. "I also did something I probably shouldn't have," he said carefully. "Your mother-in-law came to see me, came to the office in person. She wanted to know about your renovation, about the timeline, about the financing. And when I explained the situation, she asked me some very specific questions about your loan and your husband's name on the paperwork." "Why would she do that?" I asked. But I already knew. "Because she was looking for ammunition," Tom said bluntly. "She wanted details she could use against you. And I think you should know that I told her I wouldn't be discussing your private business. I also told her that in my 15 years of doing renovations, I've never seen a couple so clearly in love as you and Michael. So whatever she's trying to do, I wanted you to know that someone saw you two and believed in you." I started crying then, right there in my demolished kitchen, and Tom waited patiently until I could speak. "He wants to sell the house," I said. "He's divorcing me." There was a long pause. Then Tom said, "Let me call Michael. There's something he needs to know." I don't know what Tom said to him, but Michael came home early that day. He found me still in the kitchen, and for the first time in a week, he actually looked at me. "Tom said you made a mistake," Michael said quietly, "but that you were trying to move forward, that you didn't explore all the options." "I didn't," I said. "I should have asked you first. I should have asked Tom about payment plans. I should have talked to you about everything." "Why didn't you?" he asked, and he sounded genuinely confused, like he was trying to understand. "Because I was excited," I said, "and I was scared you'd say no, and I wanted to prove that I could make this happen. I wanted to surprise you with a beautiful kitchen and show you that my promotion meant something, that it could change our lives." Michael sat down on the counter, surrounded by the remains of what we'd demolished. "My mother came to see Tom," he said. "Did he tell you?" "Yes." "She told me she'd visited him. She said he was being unprofessional, that he was trying to interfere in our marriage. And I believed her at first, because that's what I do. I believe her." He ran his hand through his hair. "But then I called Tom back, and he told me the truth. He told me that my mother had come to him looking for details about your loan, that she'd been fishing for information to use against you. I waited. I didn't trust myself to speak. I talked to my therapist today, Michael said. I've been seeing someone for anxiety for about 6 months. You didn't know that, and I didn't tell you because I was embarrassed. And my therapist pointed out something that I've been avoiding. I let my mother make decisions for me. I let her opinions become my opinions. And when she decided you were wrong, I decided you were wrong too, without actually thinking about it myself. Michael, you made a mistake, he continued. A real one. You should have told me about the loan. But you didn't do it maliciously. You did it because you were excited and scared, and trying to prove something. And instead of talking to you about it, I let my mother poison the well, and I stopped listening to the woman I married. He looked at me directly then, and his eyes were red. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I want to call my attorney and tell them to stop the paperwork. I want to come back to bed. I want to finish this renovation with you. But I understand if you can't forgive me right now. I don't need to forgive you, I said. We both made mistakes, but we have to fix this together. He nodded. We do, and I need to fix something else first. The next day, Michael called his mother. I don't know exactly what he said, but I heard his voice from the other room, steady and calm and furious in a way I'd never heard before. No, Mom, I'm not discussing this with you. What you did was wrong. You went behind my wife's back, you manipulated information, and you tried to destroy my marriage. And I'm done letting you do that. A pause. No, you don't get an apology. You get a boundary. You don't call the house. You don't show up at my work. And if you want to be part of my life, you need to apologize to Ashley, sincerely. And you need to accept that she is my wife, and her decisions are ours to make together, not yours. I heard Linda's voice, tinny and angry, through the phone. That's not my problem anymore, Michael said, and he hung up. He didn't answer when she called back. He blocked her number. The divorce papers were withdrawn. Michael called his attorney from the living room with me sitting beside him, and he explained that there had been a misunderstanding. The attorney asked if he wanted to remain married. Michael looked at me and said yes. Absolutely yes. We sat on the floor of the gutted kitchen that night and talked for 4 hours. We talked about why I hadn't told him about the loan. We talked about why he'd let his mother's opinion matter more than my voice. We talked about what we needed from each other going forward. I want you to make big decisions with me, Michael said. Not instead of me. With me. I want you to trust me, I said, even when your mother doesn't. I will, he promised. I choose you. I'm choosing you. The cabinet installation happened the following Wednesday. Tom Davidson showed up with his crew, and they worked all day. By evening, we had a kitchen again. Not the old kitchen, but not finished either. A kitchen in progress. That Friday, we had dinner. Just us. No family, no Linda. We cooked together, and it felt like the first time we'd breathed in weeks. Michael never spoke to his mother again. Not for the divorce proceedings, which never happened. Not for holidays. Not when Jennifer called to say Linda had suffered a minor stroke the following year. He sent flowers, but he didn't visit. He didn't apologize for the boundary he'd set, and I never heard her voice on the phone again. The renovation took 6 months total. When it was finally finished, the kitchen was beautiful. Clean lines, white quartz countertops, subway tile backsplash, and real hardwood floors that we'd had refinished upstairs. Michael's grandfather's house had been preserved in the ways that mattered and updated in the ways that made it livable. We threw a housewarming party and invited Tom Davidson. We invited Sarah. We invited Jennifer, though she didn't come. And we stood in that kitchen. Our kitchen, the one we'd fought for and survived for. And we took a photo together. Michael's arm around my waist, me leaning into him. Both of us smiling like people who'd walked through fire and come out the other side. We did it, I said. We did, Michael agreed. Together. It's been 5 years now. We have a daughter. Her name is Grace, and she's 3 years old. Michael's mother has never met her. She tried calling once, about a year after Grace was born, but Michael didn't answer. I don't carry anger toward Linda anymore. I carry something quieter and more permanent. Clarity. I learned that day that you can't make someone choose you. You can only decide whether you're willing to stay with someone who doesn't, at least not without a fight. Michael chose me. He chose us. And every morning when I make coffee in that kitchen, every time I run my hand along those countertops, I remember what it cost to get here. The real renovation wasn't the house, it was the marriage. And the only thing worth preserving was the love.